What are you doing?
I have absolutely no idea. Rightio guys, welcome back. I've got a long list of things I want to try and get through on the Celica today. Just trying to make some sort of headway and get the car back on the ground and rolling. So I want to try and just maybe nip these off, these little wheel stands or jigs, and just make sure I've got enough clearance for turning, because this car will be extremely low to the ground. I want to get this top strut bar from here to the cage done, and then from the strut cup down to the chassis rail, and then hopefully we can start getting some other stuff finished. Maybe get a block in so we can start doing the rack and so on. So I went ahead and chopped off all these front guard bars, got rid of all the guards, the front apron, just so I could get into measuring a little bit better, and just makes it a little bit more accessible. But what I did do is take some time lapses, so I'll show you them of me cutting off the front end, and then we'll get stuck into throwing some bars in. Before I start measuring, I'm going to just verify I've got 10 degrees backwards caster on each shock. Then I'm going to measure from my straight bar up. Hey, trying to film over here. Yeah, as I was saying, just verify my 10 degree caster and then measure from my straight edge here up to my steering arms, and just make sure we're within the millimeter in the same spot on both sides, and then I can start measuring up for some bars. Let's get stuck into that. So what I'm going to do is zero out my degree meter, and then pop it up on here. And I just want to make sure I've got that 10 degrees caster, which I'm at 10.7 at the moment. Now I'll measure the other side. Make sure they're both the same. Right, yeah, so I've checked and double checked, triple checked 15 bloody times. I have the same measurement from my steering arm down to my straight edge on both sides, and I have the same degree angle of caster on both sides. So now I can start measuring up the top from my strut cup to my cage where I want the bar to land. I'm going to try and go a little bit over on my measurement, just leave a little bit of leeway, as I'm not 100% professional notcher at all. I actually hate it. So I have to try and figure it out, grind it, figure it out, grind it until it fits nicely. So I'll just start by measuring that out. So that's exactly 700. So I'll cut it at 720-ish. And go from there. Fortunately for me, I had a little bit of tube left over from when I did the front frame rails. 760mm long, so perfect. I just have to chop it down a little bit and then start the notches and see how the bar lands. But I'll throw you on time lapse for that. Alright, so I did get this little pipe notching tool off the Centurial website. So they give you like a little free 3D download that I loaded into our little 3D printer at work and downloaded this, and the little laser pointer for the center, so you can land the laser on another tube, so you roughly know where you've got to land. And then I just stole the little pins out of my old tool that I had bought previously, a Pipe Master tool. So yeah, you leave a little pin out here so you get a center line, draw a center line on your tube so that your notches from side to side are always going to be in the right location. That's pretty cool. And then we got this lathe recently, so I'm gonna set up the little tube inside the lathe, rotate the lathe and clean it up with my little Vivo sanding tool. So I'll show you that in the time lapse as well. That absolutely worked perfect on the lathe. But now that she's all polished up, I will get my outline on my tube, come over here, draw my center line, and then transfer it over. So we'll swap you over to here so you can watch that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is find my top center line where I left the little rod out of this little mechanism. I'm going to put it roughly where I want it on my cage, point it to where I want it to land, and then push it in. That's roughly where we got to be. I'll just leave that to the side for a second. This is usually what I'll use to get my center. Need a texter that works. So I'll grab my new texter, run it along my little edge here. Mark my center line. Now find my center tube that's missing, which is right there. Slide it over the top, hold it there, and then roughly Mark that out. Okie dokie. I'll grind that out now, chop it up a bit, and then we'll go test fit it. Man, that came up absolutely magic. So gaps are perfect all the way around, even on the inner side. Got really good gaps. Be some nice welding. Got my little 10mm spacer in there. So I dropped it down a little bit because I don't want these to protrude past the bonnet. If they're just under it, I don't mind, but I don't want them to be riding on it. So I dropped that spacer down from the 20mm one I had over there to 10mm, and then worst case scenario, I just got to raise the car up 10mm, 20mm, whatever it is. So yeah, that came up very good. I'm just going to now start on the down bar to the chassis rail. I'm going to verify my caster and all that again, just to make sure we're still all in the same position, nothing's moved. Tack it all in and then move over to the other side. So should be, hopefully have a front end or strut bars by the end of today. Ooh. So I just want to verify still at my 201, which I am. Want to verify I still got my 10 degrees, which I do. And now we're good to measure and cut the down bar. So we're going to go here. I'm going to go a bit below on this one. That's 790. Cut that out at 790, and then we can start measuring and notching with our little tool. So yeah, time for some down bar action. so I've got both of the bars done. My cage to strut top bar and my strut top to chassis rail bar, both done. Now, the cage to the strut top bar is going to be different from left to right because the cage in this car is a very old cage and it's a little bit out, which I've done multiple measurements and it's about 4 mil out, which is still not crazy, but it's still out. So I can't replicate this bar. I can replicate where it touches the strut cup, but not where it touches the cage because it's going to be a little bit longer. But the down bar will be identical either side. So I can replicate this bar and make another one straight away opposite to this one. So what I'm going to do is grab some paper. Just cut it in half. Now, I'm not a bloody professional at all, so I'm just faking it till we're making it. YouTube. Yeah, I started on my center line, which is why I should always do a center line. Wrap it around. Okay. Just rub your finger along the edge just to get your mark. And that's it. So now when I do take it off, I will mark my center line where I start taping from. That way I know to start the paper from there and roll around. But in saying that, it's going to be in reverse. So it'll be actually this side. Okay, now I just chop this out. And that is cup to chassis. Can't spell for shit. Now we'll do this side. came up magic. It's just tacked in at the moment, but I'll do the full welds once I get the other side in and start doing all the lower control arms. But man, it's really hard trying to get long travel shocks to fit on a car that's going to be extremely low to the ground. So I think it's pretty good. So I'm pretty wrapped with that. I'm just gonna start smashing out the other side, try to get the other side tacked in, and then once the other side's tacked in, move on to the next step, which I'd say would be lower control arm. So hang in there. Man, I got it done. Well, as far as I can possibly go, because my foot is absolutely in agony. Still dealing with 3 fractured bones. Just trying to get through it, trying to do as much as I can, because I cannot sit out and watch from the sidelines anymore. So I got most of it done. I've done both the front 2 down bars. I've done the top bar on the other side. The driver's side is going to have to wait till I can get back to it. I just need to call it for today, rest up, and I'll get back to it on the next episode. But take a look at this. She's looking good. Everything's tacked up. Everything's to the millimeter. I said before I started this car, I wanted to make it the most beautiful thing I've ever built. The old car was good. The old car looked good. The old car went good. But this car is going to be even better. So everything is to the millimeter, to the degree, and it looks very good. I'm absolutely wrapped. So on the next episode, I'll finish that top bar. I will probably bolt the mid plate in properly with the little tubes, weld some tubes in. I'll start the lower control arms because I would really like to get a block in, engine block, and start finishing off the front end. So that will be the next episode. Remember guys, thank you heaps. I'm not a professional. I'm just trying my best. So remember, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.